So welcome everyone. It's lovely to have you here live. As I was saying, I know we've all got very busy lives, and particularly at this time of year. So we know it takes an effort and time to prioritize this and to listen live, but it's always a lovely energy having people live, even though there is going to be a recording. And so if you miss bits or if you want to share it with someone, please, we will be sending out the recording. Please feel free to do that. Yeah, and then if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and then we'll be a chance to unmute at the end and you can ask questions. But we hope that we'll be able to share our knowledge and experience of MetaPWR with you. And we're going to hand over to Didi to get started. So I'm going to just share our hold on, I'm gone. Share our screen, which I now suddenly can't see. Give me a moment. Okay. And there we go. There we go. Over to you, Didi.
Hello, everyone. Remind everyone as you come in, please, can you mute yourselves? As Nikki said, I'm coming in from Cape Town today. I am at the 12 Apostles, which is beautiful, and the sun has just set. I've been here on a 2-day immersion of projects around community building, not in the city, but out in Piketberg, which is one of the little towns about an hour, 20 minutes away. And that's with my work with my foundation, the Didi and Friends Foundation, and also as my role in Nexus Global, which is an organization that takes care of communities and anybody that is involved and loves to give back in society. So that's one of the things that I'm passionate about. And today's what we're going to be talking about, it's MetaPWR. And this is a follow-up of our shed, which we did in September. And some of you know that it's 2 years running that we've been giving the shed. And we're very passionate about the shed, which is everything that has to do with taking care of ourselves holistically, mind, body, and soul. And we have found that MetaPWR, which is a new system that has been introduced to South Africa, it's a metabolic health blend, which is everything encompassing of assisting with our sleep, with our weight, with stress management, and with just, again, holistic health care. But more than anything, it says going back to what we focused on in this year in the shed, which was about habit stacking. So drinking more water, our movement, making sure that our food reflects a rainbow, that we're eating correctly, and that we're getting enough sleep, and that we are, yes, again, managing our stress more mindfully. So taking care of ourselves in a holistic way. So we hope today that you will benefit from all the information that is going to be shared today, and that you can start including MetaPWR system into your health. In this past 2 days, not being home, well, I've been here since last week, Thursday, and I've found myself obviously not following the routine that I'm used to at home, but having this MetaPWR and especially the beadlets into my bag has helped to stop. So taking 2 beadlets after meals or in between long meetings has helped me in terms of cravings and not leaning on bad food. So, and I've seen that in the I've been using MetaPWR from June now. I've seen the difference in my skin, in my hair, in my sleep, and in my energy levels. More than anything, for me, what has made a huge difference is seeing that my sleep patterns have gotten better and that my energy levels are much better throughout the day. So I'm going to hand over to the next lady now, who's going to take you through what we have yeah. So thanks, Nix. I think she's just covered what I've been speaking about.
Just caught up on the slides.
Eat, mood, also mood, yes, just maintaining a stable mood, and of course your sleep and clarity. As you can imagine, being engaged in a 2-day schedule has been so demanding mentally that I found myself being able, I always say, like, you catch a second wind. I found myself being able to catch many winds throughout the day. And yeah, just my stress level just being maintained through the day and being able to get good quality of sleep so that I can carry on with the next day. So thank you, Nix, for that. And then we can move on to the next one. Before metabolic system refers to, I think, Nikki, you can go on this one so that you can just get into the nitty-gritties of it.
Yeah, so thanks, Didi. So yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm a physiotherapist and the mum of 3 and work in women's health and wellness, and also teach some mindfulness and breath work. And Didi, that's how Didi and I met on our 2-year mindfulness practitioner course. And so we all, and I think we'll all just do a brief introduction as we go, but many of us, you do already know us, so we're not going to go into too much, but I do a weekly mindful moment. I'll be doing it tomorrow morning at 7:15 on my own Zoom link, which is different to this one. But it's lovely for those who can join. And then I teach various courses and workshops. But today we're talking about MetaPWR, which we all use and which really piggybacks a lot on the focus of our spring shed, as Didi was talking about, especially in terms of blood sugar regulation and metabolism regulation, which is a catchphrase at the moment, but for such an important reason. So metabolism refers to the chemical or metabolic processes that take place as your body converts energy, your food and drinks that you eat, into energy, but also into protein and lipids. And it also refers to the elimination of metabolic waste. So our lymph system is our storage system of our cells, and it takes away the metabolic waste that's created as our cells are using this energy and as we are doing our protein synthesis and our lipid synthesis. And so a lot of what we're going to be referring to is not only the incoming, the usage of the glucose and how to manage the glucose, but also the outgoing of the lymph. So when we talk about metabolism, there are many measurable things or detectable factors that we can look at, and it's not just weight loss. We look at appetite, and our huge cravings or cravings for sugar and things like that is often a sign of a more sluggish metabolism or metabolism that's spiking and dipping. Aging cells, feeling like an aging body, a body that's very tired, stiff, sore in the morning, feeling like it's more like 80 than 18. Aging cells, blood sugar levels, as we talked about, and we'll talk about a lot more. Brain health. So memory is a huge factor at the moment for many of us, not just because our devices are making us have the attention span of a goldfish, but also because the world is fast paced, but also our metabolic health is causing us our brain health not to be very good. And this can lead to what we're seeing so much of, which is Alzheimer's and dementia. A lot of it can be attributed to blood sugar spiking or pre-diabetic qualities earlier in life, or pre-diabetic tendencies, I should say. Then cardio and lipids, so cardiac function, we're going to go into that a little bit more as well, is also a reflection of metabolic health. Our energy levels, as Didi touched on, the strength of our hair and our nails, our immunity. Are we staying well? And if we get sick, we recover quickly, or do we find that we lurch from one illness to the next? Do we find that we're just getting over one thing and then we get sick again? That's a reflection of our metabolism. Our joints and our joint health, our aches and pains, arthritic signs and symptoms, even referred pain. You'll see some of the testimonials in the beginning, and we'll show them again at the end. Showed some, a lot of discussion around joint health and how people are feeling physically in their bodies. So muscle performance and tone is also obviously part of that, and muscle recovery, how quickly we recover from a new activity, a new exercise, doing something more strenuous than we normally do. Our skin, the condition of our skin, the tone of our skin, our wrinkles, our sleep, are we able to drop into a deep sleep and stay in that deep sleep, or do we toss and turn? And then, of course, our stress levels and our weight are all measurable, visible, detectable signs of metabolic health. And we're looking at here lifespan versus health span. And this is such an interesting graph, because this is our lifespan and this is our health span. And what it's showing here is that this would be a normal, traditional life where we are happy, healthy, and then there's a deterioration in the aging process, and then death. And we are seeing more and more this darker line, which is a deterioration, but then a prolonging of life at the end, where people are often being kept alive by chronic meds, but do they have a quality of life? Here, their health span, the actual quality of life is not very, very good. It's not so much living longer, but rather dying longer, which is a bit of a grim thought. But my grandmother spent many years in a retirement home, Pioneer House, and I saw so often there people who were really in terrible conditions, kept alive on chronic meds, and nearly non-functional, not recognizing friends or family, or not being able to live a functional life, and yet staying alive. And it's hard for them and hard for their families. Only people really benefiting are the pharmaceuticals, who have a client for life. But we really want to have my goal, and it's a mantra I've had for many years, and our family has had. We want to be happy, healthy, long life, and then dead. And so we wanted to look at adding life to our years rather than years to our life. We don't want to just have this bit of life. We want to have this orange line of health span rather than lifespan. And so why doTERRA? Why do we talk about doTERRA products, doTERRA essential oils, and why this MetaPWR? The essential oil industry isn't regulated. It's like the cannabis industry. Anyone can put anything on the label, 100% lavender, 100% natural, 100% pure, and no one's actually testing what's on the bottle is in the bottle. So we really have to just trust our suppliers. doTERRA didn't feel that this was adequate, and so they developed a method of transparent testing called Source to You. You can look on the Source to You website and find out where in this world this lavender was grown, and they harvest their lavender or their tea tree or their oregano from the places in the world that it grows the best, grows indigenously, grows with the highest therapeutic value. So you get the most pure and the most potent product. And every single batch of lavender or any oil undergoes 54 tests, 47 that are done in-house by doTERRA, and then 7 that are done externally by the Aromatic Plant Research Center. And under every bottle, under every roller, there is a tracking number that you can put in a website called Source to You, and you can find out where that was harvested from and the results of that tracking. So it's the transparency of tracking. So it's not to say that other oils aren't pure, but I think it's the transparency of tracking that we are, or of testing, that we are really need to be asking for. So we talk about sourcing locally, globally, because doTERRA, as I said, harvest from parts in the world where the plants grow best, and then they really work in a collaborative way with the farmers and the growers and the distillers, Their method is called co-impact sourcing, where they really partner with the community. They often build wells, schools, roads. They work with the farmers in terms of managing finances, getting paid their debt, all that sort of thing, so that they can harvest only at the time that the plant is at its highest therapeutic value. There's so much to be said for this, but there's some wonderful videos and more information on the Source to You website or co-impact sourcing websites if you would like to know more. And there's some beautiful stories of doTERRA. We often feel, well, we always feel like these oils really bless our homes and our lives and those of our family. And we really talk about blessing on both sides of the bottle, where we know that when we're using these, we're blessing the farmers, growers, distillers who actually have grown and harvested these oils. So doTERRA bring the same thorough research to their MetaPWR range that we're going to be talking about today. And it's the same testing, ethics, sustainability, purity of ingredients, and really consciousness of what they're putting into this product. So this is what we call a wellness pyramid, and it's foundations on which our wellness is based. We're not just swapping peppermint for Panado and just hoping for a quick fix and a pill to solve it all. We are, as Didi mentioned, promoting the fact that we have to make changes in our diet, in our what we're putting on and in our bodies, what we're putting on and in our minds. And doTERRA does facilitate that with certain products for nutrition and digestion, which is their lifelong vitality range, supplement range, and things like oils like Zengest to help with digestive stuff. Many of us have digestive issues, constipation, bloating, things like that, and that's very helpful. Then movement and metabolism, which is what we're talking about today, which is our MetaPWR range, and then some of our products like Deep Blue and Deep Blue Rub, which are so helpful for injuries, aches, and pains. Rest and stress management. Again, there's some wonderful oils like Balance and Serenity and Copaiba. Adaptive, so many for helping to rest and to manage stress. Ones on reducing toxicity, like our citrus oils, the endocrine, MetaPWR does too. We're going to talk about that later. And then having informed self-care, proactively looking after ourselves, so that we don't reach the stage of breakdown and deterioration in our bodies. And then obviously there's always a place for proactive medical care, seeking the help of a specialist as and when needed, using allopathic medicine as a crutch to help us get through a time if that's what we're needing. So it's a whole system, and MetaPWR forms part of that. And just to touch on smart supplementation, so I mentioned about the so just to go back to the specialists, this is a journey of empowerment where we're becoming more conscious of our bodies and our body's symptoms and what they are actually telling us. And we have to realize that we can see a specialist, there's definitely a place for it, but this is our body and this is our symptoms, and there's no one that cares about it more than we do. Our specialist doesn't feel our symptoms, our pain, our discomfort. So we have to become citizen scientists as well. We go for help and opinions and guidance, but we really want to become empowered in looking after ourselves. So as I mentioned, we have a consciousness of what we're putting on and in our bodies and what we're putting on and in our minds. And the food that we eat, we have to bring awareness to where it was grown, how it was grown, things like use of antibiotics, hormones, GMO, sustainability of farming. So it's a lot, and we do the best we can. We're certainly not perfect, and we don't want to get into this chasing perfection. But as this quote so aptly describes, so farming methods have obviously changed significantly with the development of big farming, and even just farming, as this quote suggests. The loss of these beneficial nutrients did not begin 50 or 100 years ago, as many assume. Unwittingly, we have been stripping phytonutrients from our diet since we stopped foraging for wild plants some 10,000 years ago and became farmers. So that does bring a little bit of awareness to the depth of this. And so we do lose a lot of our vitamins, minerals, and our micronutrients through the whole farming process. So these are the long life vitality supplements that we use and take. It's forms of part of a trio. You can use them individually, but they're designed to work together. The Microplex complex has the essential vitamins and minerals and they're all combined with essential oils, so that makes it far more absorbable than other supplements. There's the Alpha CRS, which is the cellular longevity blend and cellular energy blend. And then there's the omegas, which are obviously the omegas, and so they're the essential fatty acids, the carotenoids, and the certified pure therapeutic grade oils are added to that as well. So, I mean, just as an example, one of the key things in helping me to heal my skin, I had a very long journey with eczema, and people would always say, oh, you must take omegas, they're good for your skin. And I always did take omegas. So I thought, well, I don't understand. But I didn't realize how depleted I was in omegas. And when I started really actually, like my bath of what omegas my omega load should have been, mine was right down here. So even though I was supplementing with omegas, it was just like it was like pouring a bucket into the bath. It was never filling up. And so only when I actually started like almost triple dosing omegas for a month, did I actually then get some traction and my bath filled up. And that made a huge, huge difference to me and my skin. So there's definitely a place for the omegas. I'm going to hand over to Nix, and she's going to take us through a little bit more about the MetaPWR complex system.
Thank you, Nix. And I couldn't agree more that supplements, we do have to be very careful. I think our soil is so depleted and lacking. And so even, and hence our food is often lacking. And even with the best intentions of eating the highest quality food, we are just not getting the vitamins and minerals that we need. So yeah, I always try and buy the best or suggest people buy the best that they can afford, things like LLV or the MetaPWR or Metagenics coin, those sort of ranges that you're getting high quality and good amounts of vitamins that we need. But we can't expect wonders from any one thing. So it isn't just about supplementation. And as Dee Dee touched on, we need a combination of healthy eating, sleep, de-stressing, exercise, and all those good things. So on the screen, and tonight we're focusing mainly on metabolism and nutrition. And in front of us, we have the MetaPWR system. From left, the beadlets, then the MetaPWR oil, the satiety gum, the assist tablets, and then the advantage collagen, and then on the right hand side, the breathe and deep blue. We're going to focus mostly on the MetaPWR products in a little bit more details. So a scary stat is that just under 7% of the US adult population has optimal cardiometabolic health, which means that 93% of them don't. And although I couldn't find the South African stats, I would guess that it probably would be around the same amount, which is a pretty scary result. Signs of a less optimal metabolism are definitely not just about weight. And as Nix touched on earlier, the list is long. So perhaps while I read through it, and I'll be as quick as I can, just tick off on your hands or your fingers how many might apply to you. So signs of a less optimal metabolism are things like ongoing fatigue or lack of energy, a cold body temperature, thinning hair on your head, cracked dry skin, a low libido or poor sexual health, irregular periods, slow growing and brittle fingernails, trouble sleeping through the night, constipation and slow moving bowels, bloating after eating, mood disorders like anxiety and depression, frequent urination, struggling to get rid of that weight, excessive thirst and a dry mouth, trouble concentrating or brain fog, battling to remember, things like allergies and hypersensitivities, low energy levels, low motivation for doing physical exercise, and getting sick more often. And I'm sure a few of us can relate to a number of things on that list. But, and moving on, we know that a strong, healthy metabolism is not just about being skinny and having a svelte body. As Nix has touched on too, it's about immune system function. It's about sleep, the brain, memory, forgetfulness, lower rates of infection, our sex drive, having a good libido, having a good muscle mass, lean muscle mass, more energy and zest, brain functionality and longevity. And actually the brain is one of the biggest beneficiaries of a strong metabolic rate. And so this is where we need to focus our attention. So what are the obstacles to metabolic health? Things like fat cell maturation, or the aging of our cells, dysglycemia, or this roller coaster of blood sugar spiking and dipping, and then cell integrity. And this has got to do with how well our cells function. And as Nick has touched on, inferior supplements. But hooray, there is a solution. And MetaPWR is a helpful tool in helping with some of these obstacles. So through some of the products, the beadlets, the oil, the gum, we can help shrink our fat cells. The assist tablets, which are taken before a meal, help with balancing that blood sugar spike after carby sugar meals and help reduce cravings. And then the advantage on the far right is a powdered form of collagen and something called NAD. And NAD is touted as the longevity supplement. Both collagen and NAD decline around from our mid-20s. So replacing it helps us look and act a lot younger. Next, you can put that lovely slide on. I love this slide. I wasn't aware. I was quite naive, and perhaps it's not common knowledge, but I thought when I put on weight, it was just kind of getting more fat cells. But in fact, our fat cells just grow and shrink. So we have a set amount of fat cells, and this slide shows it really nicely in these balloons of just how when we put on weight, actually the fat cell just grows bigger. And so our MetaPWR system helps in reducing that size of the fat cell. So here's our metabolic blend, and the actual MetaPWR oil consists of 5 different oils, namely grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, ginger, and cinnamon bark. And Dr. Nicole Stevens, right at the bottom, you can see some lovely research that we can perhaps put in the chat if you want to go and have a look. But she worked on the previous blend called Slim and Sassy, or Smart and Sassy, and played a little bit around with the amount of each one of these oils and slightly altered things to get the perfect formulation of how much of each of these specifics were put into the metabolic blend, and they arrived at the perfect amount that would give us the best possible results in terms of all these reducing the fat cells and helping with cravings. So we know grapefruit curbs appetite and helps with cravings. Lemon is great for getting rid of any gunk. If anybody's used lemon oil on those little sticky things that come on glass bowls or whatever, it just works magic. And so it helps in degunking our system and helping with a cleanse and the fat burning process. Peppermint helps with that sense of fullness, ginger with metabolism and fat burning, and then cinnamon for those blood sugar spikes. So a really beautiful blend, and it tastes delicious. And so here we touch on a little bit on ways to use it. So I traditionally use my oil in a bottle of water, put 2 drops a couple of times a day sometimes. And we know that hydration is key to both releasing weight and in terms of detoxing and hydration. It's fundamental. So 2 drops in your water that you can take along with you and drink during the day. Beadlets are great between meals to help curb cravings. And you can take 2, 3, 4 beadlets, which you can pop in your mouth. Or if you, for some odd reason, don't like the flavor, you can then just swallow them whole. And then the gum is delicious after meal, helps clean the teeth and also curb cravings before the next meal. The other way you can also use the metabolic blend is in a body lotion, put 2 or 3 drops into your body lotion, and it gives you a beautiful invigorating feel as you rub it onto your skin. Also helps with cellulite and detoxing. And then body brushing, which we know is so fantastic for lymph drainage. And Nix is going to fill us in because she's been following somebody who's just given her a lot of insight into the benefits of lymph drainage.
Yeah, thanks, Nix. Yeah, I think I'm realizing more and more in my patients and my practice, and with the research I'm doing around health and wellness and recovering, particularly from chronic illnesses, how much of a part lymph is playing. And as I mentioned, the lymph is our waste of our cells and our waste of our system, but it doesn't have its own pump. So the arteries have the pump of the heart, the veins have the pump of the muscles. The lymph also relies on the muscles, but it's got even less sort of support. So it can become sluggish very quickly. And we have termini, which are points of collections of lymph glands, where we know where we often get swollen glands. Here under the arms is one under the sternum, and then in the groin areas. And those can often become quite congested and thickened, especially in us in women. Remembering that our skin is our biggest organ of our body, our largest organ, and it is very porous. It absorbs a lot. Now start to think back as to when you started using perfumed body lotion, when you started using makeup, when you started using deodorant, perfume, all these different things that have different chemicals, synthetic fragrances. Women use a lot more than men. Men have very few of those products, and when they do use them, then sort of unscented and unfragranced. But a lot of that gets absorbed into our system and has to get shunted out through our lymph. And slowly our lymph becomes more and more sluggish, and we often feel more and more sluggish with it. And we often feel like we're bloated, we're puffy, we get those puffy bits under our arms here, which hang over our bras and our cozies. We just feel like nothing shifts. So we try and lose weight, and we try and do all these things. We try and exercise, and just nothing shifts, because it's all, if you can imagine, we become blocked, like a drain pipe might become blocked with hair in the sink, in the shower drain. And so it doesn't matter if you pour down drain cleaner or if you try and flush it out, until you actually take it out, or you like pump it and clear that drain, you're not going to get the flow through. And so that's really what we want to do, is we want to work on getting our lymph going. There's a wonderful woman that Nick's just referred to, her on Instagram, Doc Does Detox. We can put in the chat, Doc Does Detox, and she really teaches lovely little like tutorials on how to pump, how to open up these areas. Now we've got an even extra advantage to what she's saying, because if you actually use your MetaPWR blend on this, again, you're using the lemon and all the oils, and the grapefruit are such powerful anti-gunkers, anti-stickers. They cleanse so much that it just helps to really open up these areas. So you put them on first, and then do some of the pumping and moving. It's not a hectic thing, it's very gentle. So you open those up first, and then you do your dry body brushing, and you start your dry body brushing from proximal, and then you do the distal. You don't want to go from distal first. First, you always want to unblock. So unblock from central, then unblock from here, and then unblock from distal. Not trying to flush it up, and yet actually the drain is still blocked. So I just thought it's fascinating. I think it's something we need to become more aware of. And this is also why things like rebounding are very popular with losing weight, because the rebounding helps to access that muscle feedback, or the muscle contractions, which stimulates the lymph flow. And unfortunately, as middle-aged, not that I like to think of myself as middle-aged, I'm surely still in my 30s, early 30s, but we start to become more stagnant in terms of our lymph, how much we've put on our skin adds to our toxic load. And then, of course, we're not as active as we used to be. And when we are, we generally doing things like walking or yoga or Pilates, but those don't necessarily get the lymph going as much. So it's really important to use your MetaPWR on these points, do the dry body brushing, and absolutely continue with the walking. You don't have to all start rebounding. It's just that that's why it's so effective. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then we will continue.
Can I just come in there for a minute as Nikki, you're explaining such a beautiful point. On Friday, I had a massage, and as the lady who was massaging me said to me, I have no cellulite on my skin, on my thighs. And I said, there's no way, I do have cellulite. She said, no, you don't. And for me, it was because of the shed. In the past 2 years, I've started dry body brushing and also including MetaPWR. So just exactly to your point of just letting that body circulate and plugging the drain in our own bodies, I think that has helped my body so that I don't have cellulite. So I just wanted to share that because I've seen it and I almost couldn't believe it. And going back to my hotel, looking at my body on the mirror, I could actually see that I have less cellulite than what I thought I had.
Thank you, Didi. That's wonderful to hear. And yeah, these are our personal experiences. So it's always lovely to have this confirmed by the theory confirmed by personal experience. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sally. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach and chef with training in food technology. And I'm a wife and a mum to 3 teens. So talking about blood sugar spiking, a healthy glucose curve should show a gentle and controlled rise in blood sugar after eating, followed by a gradual decline back to baseline. And it indicates that your body is effectively regulating your blood sugar levels correctly. And if your glucose curve is too high, like a roller coaster, and stays elevated for an extended period, it may indicate issues with how our body handles sugar, such as insulin resistance or diabetes, or simply that we're having too many liquid sugars or alcohols. People forget alcohol is a sugar or turns into sugar, and carbohydrate-rich foods in our diets. So every time we have a blood sugar spike, we age. And I'll repeat that. Every time we have a blood sugar spike, we age. And insulin resistance is often associated with several risk factors and conditions, including obesity. Excess fat, especially around the abdomen, is closely linked to insulin resistance. And a lack of physical activity can contribute to insulin resistance. Some people may have a genetic predisposition to insulin resistance, which I know I have. And polycystic ovary syndrome is often associated with insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and then metabolic syndrome, which is a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and abdominal obesity. And they often all go hand in hand with insulin resistance. So over time, this persistent insulin resistance can lead to chronic high blood sugar levels, which can damage blood vessels and nerves and organs. And this in turn increases the risk of developing serious health complications such as cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, and vision problems, and dementia, which is also known as type 3 diabetes. So it's imperative that we try and get that curve as level as we can. So currently there's a fad involving weekly injections to assist with weight loss. There's a moral and ethical issue going on where, due to demand, there's a shortage of these injections for diabetic patients. Not to mention the side effects of the injections or the fact that the minute they stop having them, weight will return again. So as we've been speaking all along this evening, it's all about foundations of health. We can't just do a one-size-fits-all one product to help us get to where we want to go. So MetaPWR Assist reduces glucose spiking, thereby lowering the impact on the body. And the side benefits of all the incredible ingredients in this blend is remarkable. MetaPWR Assist contains mulberry leaf extract, berberine, and cinnamon bark powder, which slow down the conversion of the carbs to glucose, resulting in a flatter curve. And the metabolic blend of essential oils derived from Smart and Sassy, which Nick's touched on or mentioned, the grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, ginger, and cinnamon bark. These essential oils support chemical communication in our bodies by upregulating and downregulating pathways. Our bodies know how to respond to the 100% natural chemical compositions of the oils. They also inhibit fat deposition into adipose tissue and slow the fat maturation in fat cells. So studies show In the next slide, you can see, next. Thanks. Studies show there's a significant difference in post-meal glucose levels on the left using MetaPWR Assist, and noticeable flatter curves, which you can see on the right. So how we take Assist is it should be taken 15 to 30 minutes before your biggest carbohydrate heavy meal. 20 minutes is probably the best time, which allows the capsule to disintegrate and to release its contents so that they're ready to go to work on your carbs before your food begins digesting. So a suggestion is to place the bottle where you first go and prep your meal, and then by the time dinner's ready, you're ready and set to for MetaPWR to assist you in your digestion. And if you forget to take it, excuse me, you can just open it and sprinkle it on your tongue, and you're A for away. Next slide, next.
Sorry, I was so busy. I was tapping back to Pippa, but you can take over. Okay, so we're going to focus on the advantage. So Sal talked about the assist and the benefits thereof. The advantage is a collagen sachet. It comes in a really nice little handy sachet that can be kept in your bag, and it's a powder form of collagen. And main ingredient, a blend. The main ingredients are collagen and something called NAD. And collagen is one of the most abundant proteins in our body, used to make connective tissue, and so good for bones, muscle, hair, ligaments, tendons, and cartilage, which we know as we age, these are the things that worry us most. We get aches and pains, easy breaks, wrinkles, all those things that we are facing or some of us in our 50s and beyond. And then NAD is known as the cell energizer, the longevity superstar, and it supports the functioning of the cell. And as we age, NAD is depleted, and so we have lower energy levels and are more susceptible to illness. NAD also plays, next, before you move on, I'm just going to touch a little bit more on NAD, just because I'm so fascinated. And a lot of the functional medicine gurus, like Mark Hyman and Peter Attia, are talking about NAD just because it's such an amazing supplement. So it plays a role in energy production, in DNA health, in immune function. It helps with regulating your circadian rhythm, so great for sleep, for brain fog and brain function, blood pressure. And as I've said, the NAD in the cells decline, and so we age, and our energy is depleted. So lots of energy is healthy, vibrant, young-looking people. Low NAD leads to fatigue, muscle and bone loss, cognitive decline, and a higher risk for illness. But what is really, really fascinating about the advantage is that it has an extra ingredient called NMN. And I've been looking into NAD because I met the rep recently to stock NAD as in a tablet form in my practice, just because it is just amazing for healing and for things like cancer and longevity and immunity. But NMN is known as the epigenetic elixir, and it helps with gene expression and longevity. And for me, it almost sounds like it's the little steroid add to NAD. So together they're a real powerhouse. You can move on now. Thanks, Nix. So advantage helps with things like keeping us looking and feeling younger, beautiful skin, better memory and cognition, stronger muscles and bones, better sleep, and less aches and pains. And if you had time to read some of the testimonials, a lot of people are reporting things like reduced aches and pains. And the supplement is also free from all the nasties, the sugar, the dairy, the gluten, the glyphosate, artificial sweeteners, etc. So here's a little slide of all the ingredients that come in each one of those little sachets. I have highlighted, I'm going to move on to the collagen, but you'll see a lot of high antioxidant ingredients like resveratrol, the fruit extracts, phytoceramides, vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, which is really great for skin, and then the NAD, NMH, and the collagen. So I'll touch a little bit more on the collagen because it's slightly different to the collagen we often see in wherever, Pick and Pay, Wellness Warehouse, in that it has 9 different collagen types. And if you do have collagen at home, have a look on the bottle and see how many types yours has, but it's quite rare to find 9 unique collagen types. So it covers such a much broader range in terms of bone, skin, muscles, brain. It has hydrolyzed tripeptides, which allow for a 12 times more bioavailability. So instead of having to be broken down, it goes exactly to where we want it. And then the NMN on the next slide is the key to increasing NAD levels. I like to think of the NMN and NAD as almost like little buses that take electrons to work in the cell. And so when we have lots of buses, we have lots more electrons to get transported to the cell. And so we have this amazing energy in the cell, which leads to longevity. Whereas when it gets depleted, there's less energy and more aging. So it's a no-brainer to take or include NAD in our diet. So as I said, it comes in a little sachet. You mix the sachet in cold water. A lot of collagens are added to coffee or into hot liquids. This has to be added to cold water. And then they like you to activate it by shaking vigorously. So I usually put it in a bottle and give it a really good shake. You can use a little coffee frother, but you want to kind of not just stir it with a spoon, but give it a really good activation. And you might notice in that mixing process a couple of little green flecks. That doesn't mean your collagen, your MetaPWR Advantage has gone off, but that is the chlorophyll that is used to stabilize the NAD. You can use your Advantage, play around a little bit. I usually take it before or after my gym workout, but a lot of people are seeing very good results taking it in the afternoon to help with the afternoon slump. Or even later afternoon, early evening to help with sleep. So it can be adapted to your needs depending on what you're needing it for. I like to add 2 drops onto the powder when I pour it into the bottle before shaking, 2 drops of the MetaPWR oil, but you can also add one of the other citruses to add a little bit of extra zing. And the other important thing with taking the Advantage is that it is wise to drink it very soon after mixing it. It stays the most stable and you get the most beneficial results when drunk and as soon as you've mixed it. Okay, I'm going to hand back over to Nix to just touch back onto our 5 pillars of metabolic health before we come to a close.
Sorry.
Do you want to say
managing, yeah, it's me, sorry. Managing insulin resistance typically involves lifestyle changes, which we've mentioned over and over. And as I said earlier, we can't expect one product to make the changes we're after without focusing on lifestyle or without the foundations of wellness, as mentioned by Nix earlier. The 4 of us, as Dee Dee said, held a spring shed with 100 women where we focused on all the areas in our lives that feed us, amongst others, the 5 pillars of metabolic health. And when we focus on these pillars, our lifestyle becomes healthy, which is sustainable, and we continue to feel great. So focusing on healthy eating, daily movement, stress management, healthy connection, and smart supplementation. So a MetaPWR daily routine would look like this. So first thing in the morning, 2 to 3 drops of the MetaPWR oil in a big glass of water before anything else. And you can keep using that glass throughout the day because the remnants of the oil, it's so potent that you'll keep having the benefits. And then to introduce fasting, to either do a 16-hour fast where you stop eating at 7 and have your first meal at 11, or a minimum of finishing at 7 in the evening and eating breakfast at 7 in the morning. And as Nick said, the MetaPWR Advantage you can take before your workout or after, with 2 drops of oil if you want. You don't need to. And then, as I said, the MetaPWR Assist with your biggest carb meal. And if you're having more than one big carb meal, you can have it twice, no more than 3 times a day. And then, as Nick said, the Lifelong Vitality you can take after lunch or after supper if you are using it. And then the gum, it's suggested to have it after lunch. It ends off your meal and it cleans your teeth and refreshes your breath. However, I love to have it in my car, and whenever there's a time where I feel like I need to have something to eat, I could just chew on that, and it's so delicious. And you feel like the flavor's going, but then it stays and it stays, and it's just such a clean gum. It's just wonderful to have. And then I like taking the MetaPWR Advantage in the afternoon. Definitely helps with my sleep. And then repeating the MetaPWR Assist at mealtime or LLV after dinner. And then for those that are more interested in the science part of it, Dr. Tanya Jooste did an amazing presentation on MetaPWR, diving deeply into the science of it at the convention earlier this year. You can find it on YouTube at tanya.jooste. And then doTERRA have a training website, www.training.doterra.com, where you can do an education course on MetaPWR itself. So lots of information for those that want to dive deeper.
Thanks, Sal. So for those who want to get started on your MetaPWR journey, the cost is the same whether you have oils, whether you've already got a doTERRA account or whether you're just starting out. For the whole system, it's 2,990 Rand, but that's your sort of initial cost. Once you have the system, there's certain of the products you use quicker than others. So often the oil lasts a long time, the bead, the gum, well, it just obviously depends on how much you're using it. And then there's a cart and cart system whereby once you've got the system, you can then get other products added, so an extra assist, an extra advantage at a cheaper rate. So it really does value that, because people like my husband and I are doing this together. We're both on this, so we both need the advantage or the assist. So that's how we worked it. And so you can double up on certain things, or each month you're not having to do that, getting a whole new pack. So that is about it. So if you are wanting to know or wanting to get started, so if you've already got oils and got a doTERRA account, you can just order it from your back office, and then it automatically gives you this cart option. Also, you get some discounts on some of the other products like the Copaiba soft gels and the On Guard soft gels that are very synergistic. They work very well with it. If you don't yet have oils, then please contact the person who invited you to the call, and they will help you get it set up so you can get this and it arrives within a couple of days and you can get started. Next, the one thing you didn't talk about was your trip to Italy earlier this year when you took your MetaPWR. I think you took your assist. Will you tell us what you took?
Just my experience of it. So it was, I'd recently got it, was new on the market, and soon after learning about MetaPWR, I had a beautiful trip to Italy with my sister and my mum. And I'm usually very careful with what I eat. But being in Italy and traveling with my mum and sister, we had an ice cream virtually every day. We ate the delicious pasta. We had Aperols and wine. And pretty much everything that was offered. But I used my MetaPWR as a kind of a test. I suppose it was my testing period. I kept the advantage. It was easy to travel around because it's so easy in the little sachets. I would have that in my water. I used the gum in between to chew, and I used the assist once or twice daily with my meals. And although I was walking a lot, as we do when you travel, I didn't put on a single kilo, which I was really, really thrilled with. So yeah, that's my little experience of using it. So it was a game changer for me, coming back from a treat of a holiday, eating and drinking anything that crossed my path, and actually staying the same.
Thank you, Nix. And that's, yeah, we'd like to have the same experience in December. I think for all of us, we know it's often a busy time, and we do bring as much consciousness as we can, but it's also a time that we want to really enjoy time eating and drinking and being with loved ones. And that's part of what our community is, when we sit together and eat together. And so I'm just going to scroll back up here so we can go on to some of the testimonials that people shared on there is a wonderful Telegram group which gives a lot of support and guidance and more information on how to use it. So we're going to just I'll scroll through these slowly, but are there any questions? We'd love to hear from you. If you've had any experience with it, or if you've got any questions, please do now unmute or put something in the chat. I don't know if we've covered all the questions. Anything coming up, or have we been very thorough and no questions? Just gonna check. Yeah, so I mean, you can get it. The Dubai, the person who introduced you, we can find ways. There's always people traveling to Dubai. Dubai, unfortunately, doesn't have a direct doTERRA there yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Statin drugs, I will have to do some research on that. Because there is a wonderfully very helpful frequently asked questions, which I actually meant to type out. I mean, print out, but I don't have it on me right now, so I'll have to just have a little bit of a look. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So any other questions, and I'll let you know.
Just in terms of dry body brushing, 2 to 3 drops on the brush is what I usually use, Taryn. And I'm not sure the question about the LLV, I'm not sure if that's about iron. I think there's a bit of a typo. Bontle, if you want to ask that question, so we can possibly answer that.
So I think the question might have been how much is how much are the LLV supplements? I forget what the LLV range is. Someone could maybe look it up while I'm looking this up, but it's in the back office. It's 1.6, I think it's 1.5, which is actually incredible for the 3 bundled together. So yeah, it is, and then they're more when they're sold separately, but when you get the 3 together, it's about 1.5, I think.
I think the question, sorry to read it, is how much is too much in regard to, or in regard of, or that.
Thank you, Ken. So we start off with the LLV, the supplements. We usually take 1 of each. So 1 of each of the 3, we'll take it morning and evening, but preferably after a meal. And then the actual recommended dose is actually for adults is 2 of each morning and evening. But we often have to start low, start slow. So we start that lower and slower and then progress up. Okay, so the information sheet didn't have anything about statins. That there is a more comprehensive one, but I'm just also seeing whether there's anything on some of the groups. Okay, anything else? We can also do more investigation on, for whoever asked the statin question. You can, it doesn't say your name, you can contact the person who invited you and we can give you feedback on there. Yeah, so usually it's just twice a day, apparently after meals, and then taking 2. You want to see the routine again. And And Karen, would this have any effect on nutrient absorption? And can one use it alongside enzymes? Yeah. Okay, let's answer that. So the daily routine. But you know, this is also, again, starting low and slow. I would recommend starting with one or the other and then add in the other one. Give yourself sort of the month to process it and then add in. So if you're wanting to do MetaPWR and LLV, start with one, whichever one feels most important to you at this time. So that's, and then add on. Okay, statins. Yeah, no, I don't have anything directly here. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I think we're going to, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording because we want to just keep the recording quite tight. If I can see where to stop recording, there we go.